برایت هاوس نامی مسمى در عرصه تکنولوژی معلوماتی.
Virtual machine on that, but still that's not a good practice. What if something happens to that hardware? What will happen? But here, let me show you something. For example, I have 190 virtual machine running here, this one. Let me see if my HA feature is enabled here. Yes, my HA is enabled. So this Windows 10 machine is running on 190 host. For example, my 190 hardware is failed for some reason. My hardware goes down. Automatically this Windows 10 VM will be restarted on the other host. So that's called high availability. That's the feature of that, and that's the topic of module number 9. We will discuss it once we go through the proper training. So I hope I'm not confusing you guys. I'm trying to make it simple, and I'm trying to explain each and every option so that you are aware of this technology and the beauty of and the benefits of this technology. Even if you are a networking student, if you are a security guy, so I think you would be familiar with Fortinet firewall, Palo Alto, Checkpoint, Sophos. Is there any security guy in my audience?
Yeah, I have used these kinds of things. I have used Sophos. I have used ASA firewall from Cisco. Also, I have used Palo Alto for practice. Also, some application software walls. I have a little bit practice on them also.
Yep. So your Sophos firewall, is it a hardware or it's a virtual appliance?
Yeah, currently it is a production environment. It's a hardware.
Okay, you have a hardware.
Model. Yeah, XU firewall.
Okay, good. So you can
Suppose
also
is
Mhm.
suppose is both of hardware and software. We can buy it as software and hardware.
Exactly. We can
We
download.
want to install the suppose firewall.
Yeah, so we can download a
Both of them.
yes, we can download a virtual appliance and we can run it on top of the hypervisor. So this technology is also important for those students or for those people who are working as a network engineer or who are working as a security guy. And guys, see here, this machine is now running on this machine, on this host, because 190 is down. So we do not have to worry about it. The machine is now available on 187. And I have a question from Mr. Awais Zaki. So let me answer him. His question is, what is fault tolerance? So Mr. Awais, let me just give you some demo. We can see here I have this Windows 10 machine. This Windows 10 machine is running on 202 host. This Windows 10 is running on 202 host. What if something happens to this host and I want this machine to be available all the time? In high availability, the virtual machine will be restarted, so there is a downtime. But in FT there is no downtime. So let me just show you something. Let me enable this thing, high availability. Give me some time. And what is high availability and what is FT? There are difference between these two options. In high availability, if one hardware goes down, virtual machine running on that hardware will be restarted on the other host. So there will be a downtime, but still we will get a recovery of that virtual machine. FT is basically advanced level of high availability. So in FT, if a virtual machine is running here, if this machine is running here, and when we enable FT for this virtual machine, a secondary copy of that virtual machine will be running here, and everything will be replicated or sync with the secondary VM. So if something happens to the primary VM or if something happens to this hardware, the secondary VM will take over as a primary VM and there will be zero downtime. And let me just show you practically. We can see here this VM is running on 202. Let me log into this VM. Right, this is my Windows 10 virtual machine. Right, what is the IP address of this machine? Let me see. The IP of this machine is 149. So let me start pinging this machine. Okay, I think I need to 149. Right, okay, it's not giving response. I think I should. Now I am able to do that. See, I'm able to ping my machine. So for this machine I'm going to configure FT, turn on FT. First I need to know where this machine data is stored. It's on SAN01. This is the topic of module number 9, guys, but let me just answer Mr. Awais Zaki question. I'm going to select 203, and once you click finish, what will happen? A process will be started. FT will be enabled for this virtual machine. So a secondary copy will be running on the other one. You can see here, this is a secondary copy of this Windows 10 machine. So now we will power off this host, we will down this host, and the machine will still be responding to the ping because a secondary will take over and it will become a primary VM. So there is zero downtime and fault tolerance. So I hope I answer your question, Mr. Awais. Okay, so once you download the ESXi, I'm mixing topics, but hopefully we will be on the same page. So let's start with the installation. For example, you have a hardware. You are welcome. Okay, sorry for disturbing here. No problem, no problem. I can understand. Uh, please send me the same information on WhatsApp, Mehrab, and I will join it and I will explain it. I can understand. I have many students from Afghanistan. They are enrolled with me, and some of them they are only able to join my session. The rest they just download my lecture and they watch them. And then they contact me whenever they get an internet connection, and then I explain to them. So I can understand. Guys, this is the installation step. You just need to attach an ISO file to the hardware. Let's suppose you have Dell hardware. You can press F12 boot option. You can select USB and the installation will be started. Suppose you are installing it on your Dell hardware, for example, right? And for example, you have disk 1 TB. What will happen? This whole disk will be formatted in VMFS file system. So if you want to install ESXi on your laptop, what will happen? All your laptop data will be erased because another partition, VMFS partition, will be created. So if you want to practice on your laptop, use this technique, VMware Workstation, for practice purpose. Just like I'm using a virtual machine and I'm installing the ESXi hypervisor on the top of the virtual machine, just to show you guys how we can install it on the physical hardware. So it's the same steps, right? Habiba, push.
Oh, sir, you push, man, push him. आवाज में और सर
जी जी बिल्कुल वाह में हो आवाज हाँ
صحيح معنا
ها نو پامه دی کنه
بله فهمیده
ها دا خو ځان په فیسبوک باندې هم ګورم ها دا خو ما اوس خیال شو فیسبوک مې کولاو کونو حالته به کې ځایم هو مهربا دا طریقه به ما ته ښه یار چې دا فیسبوک باندې خلک لایو څنګه راځي اوکے guys see here به دا فیسبوک بند کم ځکه چې ما ته آواز راځي before installation of ESXi 7.0 first you need to know if your hardware support ESXi version 7 or not, right? Let's suppose I think someone mentioned that he has Dell hardware. Who was that person? I believe it was Wahid, or it was I think he left already. So if you have a hardware and that hardware doesn't support ESXi 7.0, then unfortunately you have to install 6.7, the previous version. But there is a trick, and I recently applied that trick and it works on some of the old hardware. And that link, let me just show you. Allow CPU legacy is equal to true. I'm going to send you an article. I think this is the article, and you guys can follow this article. Mehrab, if you can also post this in your WhatsApp group, that would be good. This article will explain you that if you have an older hardware and that hardware doesn't support 7.0, you can try your luck. This method is not recommended for production environment, keep in mind, but for testing purpose or for your home lab you can use this technique and it will guide you, right? So currently we are not going to check any compatibility because this is our test lab. So we will just hit enter and we will accept the agreement. So right, I can see I have 2 disks attached to my host, to my hardware. So I will use 40 GB disk for my ESXi installation and 60 GB disk will be used for my virtual machine data, just for a testing purpose, right? Okay, I think I should click next. By default there is a username called root, so we are going to set a password for that. Make sure your password is complex password because we will be using this password for login, and you can hit F11 and you can start installing the ESXi. So just keep in mind that what we did actually, for your understanding, we have a hardware, right? Make sure during installation your hardware is connected to the switch. There is at least one Ethernet network connected. In production environment we recommend more than one network adapter, physical adapter, right? We recommend more, 4 or 5 or something like that. Why? We will discuss in module 5 once you go through the proper training, and you will get the idea that why 5 physical adapters are important. And what we did actually, we installed ESXi on top of this hardware, right? The installation is started. Keep in mind that by default there is a username called root, and you can set your password. Make sure your password is complex. So once the installation is finished, we need to do basic configuration, like how to change IP address, host name, DNS, default gateway, enable or disable SSH, the basic things. So we are going to do that. So see here, I think the installation is finished almost. We can click reboot and the installation is done. Once the installation is finished, you can okay, one more thing, you guys can also, for example, your laptop doesn't have that much of RAM which is required for even the basic installation. So again, I would suggest to go to this lab, Virtualization 101. Once you log into this lab, you can use this option. Here they will guide you. Click here to open the interactive simulation. Once you click here, just follow the instruction. Click enter. This is just a simulated environment, right? This is not my lab. It will guide you how to install the ESXi and all these things. So this is just a simulation. This is not a real thing. What we did, that was real actually. We install it from on our own, but this environment is a simulated environment, and see, installation is done just for learning purpose. Once installation is finished, it will guide you and you can follow these instructions and you can learn. So once you learn this, then you can try the VMware workstation stuff and all these stuff. So I will close this and I will go to my own lab. This is my lab, right? So let me just make it full screen. Once you finish installation, you will only see this screen, and this screen is called DCUI, Direct Console User Interface. By default, an IP address is assigned by DHCP server, so we do not want this IP to be dynamic. So we will press F2 and we will change the IP address. So let me hit F2 and let me log into my we will use the same password which we defined during installation. Go to configure management network, go to IPv4 configuration and make this IP address static. If you want to disable IPv6, you can disable it. If you have a domain controller, you can put your domain controller IP address here, and you can write a name for your host, and everything is done. So once you do the basic configuration of your host, we need a machine, a management PC, any machine. It could be Windows 10, it could be Linux, it could be Mac operating system. You can use this machine. You can open browser. You can write the IP address of your host. You can write the username and you can write the password. Back in the days, there was a software, and let me show you that software actually. Vsphere Client 5.5. When I started learning this technology in 2014, we would use this software to access our ESXi host. But now the story is changed. Everything is easy now. You can simply use your browser and you can use 443 port number. So let me use it. Let me open a tab here and let me write HTTPS, and you can access your host, right? And root, and you can log into your host. Currently I do not show any storage because the disk is not formatted yet, the second one. So I can write disk 2. I can select my disk. It will be formatted in VMFS file system. This is module 6 topic, so which is why I'm just going through the overview because of the time issue. So now I can see this is my host. From here, if I have to create a virtual machine, I can click here. I can create it. Just like we create virtual machine on VMware Workstation, or we create virtual machine on Oracle VirtualBox. If you have to create virtual machine, I cannot explain each and every option now, unfortunately, because of the time. But let me just show you. I just click on my data store and I browse my data store. I create a directory. You guys can also follow these steps, and I have also uploaded some of the lecture on my YouTube channel. You can also watch that, and I will ask Mehrab some other time if he can arrange uh, some other time, like 2 or 3 hours, so that would be good to understand the basic things in details. And you can upload the ISO images. You can see here I'm going to upload Windows 10 ISO image so that I can install this one. So let's suppose you need to create a Windows 10 VM. So first you need to upload the ISO of Windows 10 to your data store, and then we will use that ISO for during installation. So I hope you have learned something new today.
Sir, hello, good evening again.
Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I can hear you, Mr. Gilbert.
Sir. Yes, sir. Sir, what is the site that you give that simulation, sir? Can you give the link again?
Yes, definitely. I can give you the link.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Welcome. Where are you from?
I'm from the Philippines.
Okay. There will be, uh, it would be 12 o'clock there.
Yeah, it's already here one.
Okay.
12, 12, 12 o'clock.
Okay, 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
So,
It's it's a great honor to know you, sir.
no problem. Thank you. Good to have you here. Thank you so much for joining. I'm just sharing my YouTube channel with you.
Premium Droplets takes advantage of some of the
I'm just sharing the link with you guys, so at least you have the idea. I have uploaded some of the lecture over there. Mehrab, if you can also send them to the students, that would be good. So I can stay here 30 minutes more, but your call, guys.
مننه سر جی یو سوال پوښتنه مې کوله
جی بالکل.
شاید موضوع باید یو په خو بیا مال موږ د ټکنالوژي استفاده کوله چې د ډیسکټاپ په ځای باندې کنه دا ویمیر ایکس ټی موږ انسټال کوم مثلا د لوکل کمپیوټر لپاره صرف یو غوي کنه دا څه ډیوایس پښته او مخ کو نو اوس نه پېم چې اوس هم هغه ډیوایس استفاده کوي که څنګه دی
بالکل
خلکو به دوبۍ نه راوړ کنه
ایگزیکټلی
یو مانیټور ته ولګول کیږي هر څوک خپل وینډوز استفاده کوي ځنه
صحیح
ډیسکټاپ ټول یو سنټرلایز یو ځای کی
بالکل
کله فرق لګ دا ډیټیل راکې خو مننه
ډیټیل نه پورا د اکسس غالب طریقه ته خمه دا سیبو کې دی ویمویر چویل ته بلاټ شي کنه او الته ویمویر هورایزن باره کې وګوري صحیح ده
نو سر
the virtual desktop infrastructure. You will find a lab for VMware Horizon. Thin client wala story chika moakana.
يعني زیات کارت هم پکول خپل یو نیم سل 200 مثال
depends ati sta pa server pa configurations باندې دا هونه د مطلب یو هارډویر کې دا 10 کسانو سره کنیکټ کا ملټیپل هارډویر او هغه آیډیا دا ده بالکل پوه شم ستا مطلب باندې
مننه سر مننه ډیر مننه
جی Mr. Mehrab, I can continue. And what is RAID in ESXi? RAID is not in ESXi. RAID is a general thing, Mr. Awais. It's for example, you have a Dell hardware and you have, for example, one SSD disk, and you have 5 HDD disk. So you can use the SSD disk for ESXi installation, and the remaining 5 HDD you can configure a RAID. I'm not a storage expert, so I won't be able to explain it in detail, but you can combine the 5 disk and you can create a RAID for backup purpose or for redundancy purpose. And so RAID is not specific to ESXi, it's a general technology, it's a general technique. RAID levels, you should search about that, Mr. Awais. And I have some I will share one of my group link with Mehrab, and he will share it with you guys. So I have many storage experts over there, so they can also guide you. Ji, Mr. Mehrab, are we going to end the session or we still need to continue it? I can talk about. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Let me save the recording first.
برایت هاوس، نامی مسما در عرصه تکنولوژی معلوماتی.